Couples Corner. The Couples Corner. This is the Couples Corner with Team Evans. This is the Couples Corner. The Couples Corner.
The Couples Corner with Team Bevins of I Still Do Ministries every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is another episode, and today you will get some good information, some great nuggets, and some tools to strengthen your relationship. The Couples Corner with Team Bevins.
All right, party people. How y'all feeling tonight, man? Welcome to the Couples Corner. We are Team Bevins. I'm Marcus. This is my wonderful wife,
Cherie.
And we are excited to be in the Couples Corner with you all tonight. So everybody that is on here with us tonight via Mix Station, welcome to you. And for those of you who are sharing with us via social media, welcome to you. For those who are with us via social media, won't you do us a favor, go ahead and share this, tag some people, invite some people to the conversation so that we can get this party started. As you know, we're picking up on part 2 of what we did last week. And for those of you who weren't with us, we were discussing business and marriage. So today is business and marriage part 2. So we're going to get into that in a few moments. So we're going to pray, and then we will get the party started. All right, let's pray. Father, we thank you for another opportunity to gather together in the Couples Corner. We thank you for what you're doing today with and through each and every person that is here tonight. We thank you, Lord, that you are giving us insight, understanding, wisdom, and knowledge that we can share, that every person would be able to grow in their relationship and to become better, to be stronger, to be wiser. And we look forward to what you're going to do in the Couples Corner tonight. We give you glory, we give you honor, and we give you praise for a great time that we will share in the Couples Corner. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to make sure that tonight everybody is locked in, with what we're doing and how we, moving with the Couples Corner. So before we jump into our topic, my wife is going to give you a little information about the conference that's coming up this weekend, and we'll share in a couple of other things. And then, we'll be able to move forward with that. All right? So let's get it, party peoples, babe.
So the conference is this coming weekend, January 24th and 25th. It starts on Friday at 7 p.m. It's $100 per couple. We still have spaces for you if you want to come. So you can just you can go to teambevins.com, and then you'll find out from there how to register for the conference. Or you can go to www.mkt.com /W-Marcus-Bevins. And Bevins is spelled B-E-V-A-N-S.
Right.
We're Bevins, not a Bivens.
Right.
So come out to the conference. You can tell anybody that is married and engaged. We're going to have a great time. People are getting excited. We have been excited. We're going to have a great time. We're going to it doesn't have to be a specific amount of years you've been married. It doesn't matter how long. You can come out and just enjoy a good time. It's just not for people that, as I say every time I talk about this, it's not just for people that are going through. It's for anybody. If you're happy, if you're sad, if you don't know what you are, come out. We'll help you figure it out. And our theme this year is Firm Foundation.
Yep.
So just come on out, enjoy some time with us, laugh. We're going to cry. This is how we do. But we have a great time, and we let you go home with something that you can help to activate or to keep your marriage going on a great path. So it's January 24th and 25th, again, $100 and per couple. And it's for married and engaged couples.
Right. Okay, good stuff. Some of you have already registered. Many of you have inquired about what to do and how to be a part of it. As you know, we've been doing this for quite some time now. This is actually our 6th conference. So we definitely want you guys to be able to share in that. And we're going to have a great time. Like she said, it's always, always a great time when we all link up together. So we're definitely excited about that. Now, another thing that, we want you guys to make sure that you're part of is making sure that you have a copy of the book, 64 Tools for a Successful Relationship. Oftentimes when we talk on the show, we talk sometimes from that book, and sometimes we share, in that, so that you will all be able to be on the same page with us. And sometimes when we're talking about that or we're sharing from it, that way you'll be able to keep up with us if we happen to read something out of it. But it's a great tool that you can use for your relationship, and it helps to give you tools of success, which is the reason that it's titled that. But it helps you to be able to navigate through some of the things that, you deal with when you're dealing in a relationship. So we wanted to make sure that you all had that in your libraries so that you can be a part of what we're doing. So we're excited about that. And we're going to get back into what we were talking about, which this is part 2, which is business and marriage. And so for those of you who are with us, we're going to jump back into that. We don't really have, a lot of time to kind of recap from what we did last week, but the foundation of this is from Habakkuk 2 and 1 through 3, where it talks about writing the vision and making it plain. And so, we're kind of dealing with business and marriage being very similar in the fact that what you do in business, what you do in marriage, dealing with how you plan, how you prepare, it is very important. And if you don't have a plan, it's kind of difficult for the parties involved to run with it, to work with it, and to make sure that it is actually a clean and clear success. So that is ultimately what, we want to make sure that we all fully understand and have and can utilize to make sure that what we're doing is successful and that we are getting the best possible usage out of our relationships, because we've approached them from the right place and with the right understanding. So we talked mainly last week about the vision, but we want to kind of talk about the plan, and in some instances, what is the plan that you all had? Because sometimes when you start talking about the plan, you oftentimes don't have details. Sometimes we just have an idea. I know I don't want to be alone. I want to be married. Okay, what does that look like? What is that for you, and how are you going to achieve that, and how are you going to keep it, successful and be able to make sure that it remains healthy and all of those good things. So there's a lot that goes into it, but we just want to make sure that as you properly prepare for your relationship, that you're doing it from a place that's healthy, because that's what we want. We want healthy relationships in 2020. We don't want these little bootleg relationships that you didn't prepare for individually nor as a unit, and then it causes you to be stuck. So when we start talking about business and marriage, what comes to mind? So we want you all to interact with us, of course. This is not dictation. This is communication. So we want to hear from you as well as you are hearing from us. So, of course, if you have any questions or comments, you can always feel free to give us a call at 1-855-493-6499. Again, that's 1-855-493-6499. And for those of you who are on social media with us, you can drop your comments or questions on social media, and we will get with them. So again, we're talking about what business and marriage looks like from the plan aspect of it. We know the vision. We dealt with the vision, but what's the plan? How do you plan to make sure that your relationship stays healthy, that it stays fresh? How do you plan for your relationship to continue to grow, to not get stale? How do you plan for your relationship to stay monogamous? How do you plan for your relationship to not go bankrupt because you didn't, make good financial decisions and all of that? How do you plan for that dealing with your relationship? So, that's one of the questions that we're putting on the table first is, how do you plan to make sure that your business and your marriage remain successful? That's the first question. And So before we, really kind of dive fully into that, was there anything you wanted to share on that before we jump into that too heavy?
No.
Okay. So with the planning of it, I know for me, when we first got married, there was a plan. Me and my wife, we talk about it often, that, sometimes you kind of have this vision of how marriage is going to be, or, you have this thought of what marriage is going to be. My wife talks about it. She's talked about it plenty of times on here, how she thought we were going to always eat dinner at the same time. And, we were going to do a lot of things that we never communicated about. And so the fact that some of these things we never communicated, she had thoughts, I had thoughts, but if we never communicate those thoughts, how are they supposed to happen? How are we supposed to be on the same page if, she's thinking one thing and I'm thinking another, but we never actually had the conversation to put these things in motion? How are we going to have a established dinner time if we've never talked about
Absolutely.
what that time looks like? How are we going to do any of these things that's going to bring success, that's going to build some foundation, that's going to build some consistency in our relationship without that communication factor? So I think one of the bigger pieces of the plan has to be communicating, because we have to be able to share what it is that we're looking for. We have to be able to share what it is that we're expecting. You hear me say it all the time. Expectation without communication is a recipe for disaster. I can't expect for you to be something. I can't expect for you to do something, and you have never actually heard me share what it is that I'm looking for. How can you provide for me what I'm looking for if you don't know what I'm looking for? Like, it's almost like I'm setting you up for failure, because at the end of the day, truth be told, many times in relationship, fingers get pointed, and they're getting pointed without you ever communicating what you were looking for. So you're setting your mate up for failure, for them not to be able to supply the type of happiness or the type of, joy or the type of, stability that you're looking for, because you never communicated it. And that's realistically not fair to your mate, to have them thinking you're doing such a horrible job as a mate when you never told me what it was that you were expecting of me, what it was that you were looking for. We just think that love is enough to have a successful marriage, and it's not. It's a great component, but it's not a successful, you're not guaranteed to have success because, you haven't communicated that. So how big is communication in this process for you, babe?
So, it's big. Communication is big in every single thing. I always say it. Everything that deals with marriage has to deal with communication. So we can't be successful that way. But if you don't communicate your plan, then your family doesn't know what work you have to do to carry out the plan, to make the vision come to reality. So whether it's in your business or in your marriage, or if you and your spouse are in business together, if you don't write the plan and communicate it to your spouse or to your employees, then they won't be able to carry out the plan to figure out what works. So for us, for I thought, he's right, I say it all the time, I thought that we were going to eat dinner every night. We're going to be this whole nice, good Christian, wholesome family, and be together every night. Not that we weren't Christians, because we don't eat together every night, but that was my idea of what my marriage was going to do. But I never communicated that. I communicated my frustration, but I never communicated my vision.
Good.
And that's what we do a lot of times. We communicate our frustration, but we don't communicate our vision. And so nobody's a mind reader.
Right.
Some of us are a little prophetic, but not a mind reader. And, when you don't communicate your plan, then so he didn't know, okay, we have to work to get here at 7:00 to eat together. So there will be some work that has to go into that. Maybe he has to go in early. Maybe I have to go in early. That's part of the work. Maybe we have to say, okay, on these days we can eat together, but on these days we can't. But because I never communicated it, we didn't know what we had to do to make it happen. Right. So we taking something that's small, but that could turn into something really big if you're thinking that your spouse is supposed to just know.
Right.
Okay. Nobody just knows y'all. We don't just know.
That's true.
Several people have told me that you know, well, they should just know. No, we don't just know. We should just communicate. So you have to communicate the things that you want. And and I'm gonna, you know, ask again. Marcus's question is, how do you plan to make sure that your marriage and your business is successful? And we want you to call us 1-855-493-6499. And we also want you to, if you're with us on social media, to type questions and comments. And I still have the same, partly the same question from last week, that we want y'all to communicate with us. How, if you are in business, how do you keep your business and your relationship successful? If you were in business before you got into your marriage, or if you're engaged, you got into your relationship, and if you were in your relationship and you started your business, how do you keep it successful? How do you keep having a successful business and your spouse understanding the plan and what's going on and what the work is? Because once you write that plan, then you know, okay, this is what we have to do to carry out the plan. So how do you keep your relationship successful and your business successful? And if you are in business together, how does that work for you? Because you're going to help somebody. Somebody needs answers to these questions. We definitely know that. Somebody needs answers to these questions. So if you are living it, please call us 1-855-493-6499. Or if you're on social media, please type the answer. Or if you have a question that we can answer for you. But if we can't, you know, we always say we're not going to.
Yeah, we ain't
try
about
to
make nothing up.
Pull it somewhere. We ain't gonna make it up. We're gonna ask somebody else to answer. We're gonna direct you. So feel free to, you know, dialogue with us, please, tonight about business and marriage. But yeah, that is my planning. Communicating the plan is very important, because then we know what the work is, and we have to do this a lot in our marriage because of our children, of the businesses, of our careers. You know, we have to do this a lot because things change all the time. Definitely. And so we have several meetings. My mom thinks it's funny, but it keeps us going. You know, if in your business, if you never have a meeting, if in your marriage, you never have us come to the table and sit down and talk, how do you continue to move forward if you're not communicating what is expected or what you want to do or ideas or anything like that? Right. So that's how we move forward. We have lots of meetings. Like the Bevins family, we meet a lot, you know. So, you know, the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, when school starts, when school breaks, when, you know, something frustrates one of us, when something, like, we meet a lot because instead of, you know, assuming or being frustrated and fussing, it is better to just bring it to the table. And I'm not saying we don't ever disagree. Right. But it's, we can disagree at the table, and then we can try to figure out how to agree to disagree, you know, or whatever, if that's a thing. So please call in 1-855-493-6499 or post your comments, questions on social media if you have them, and I'm sure you do, but trust me, you will help somebody. No question is a stupid question. You will help somebody that is going through this, because, you know, a lot of people are not understanding the businesses that their spouses are running because they don't know the plan. They don't know what the work is that has to be done because it's not communicated. And somebody that is doing this successfully can help us. Or if you have made a mistake, you can help say, hey, please don't ever do this. Right. This is not, I think Marcus talked about it last week about how he didn't communicate things. And please don't think that we're perfect in anything we talk about. We talk about topics that you all bring, that we pray about. We talk about so many different topics, but it doesn't mean we've mastered them. Exactly. So he talked about last week how, you know, he wasn't communicating things. He wasn't, basically, it was what's in his head. I couldn't get it, so I didn't know this is what has to be done. So please feel free to share.
And so it's important that, you know, we really have a understanding of how valuable communication is, because if we don't have a value in that communication, we won't strive to do it effectively. And communication does not just work. It only works when you learn how to make it work with the person that you're communicating with. And it's essential that we realize that everybody does not communicate the same way. Everybody doesn't learn the same way. Everybody doesn't receive the same way. Everybody doesn't get information the same way. And because of that, it makes it hard sometimes because, I don't know if you all will be honest enough to say it, but there have been times that I've had some conversations with some people, and in the midst of the conversation, I'm thinking like, are you serious? Do you not really understand what's happening? But I'm basing that off of the way that I understand. I'm basing that off of the way that, I receive communication, or just getting right to the point of what it is without all of the details or without the backstory, or, you have to learn the person that you're communicating with in order for it to become effective. And so, we talked about before that communication is not really effective until the person that you're communicating with can give you back with understanding what it is that you gave them. So, if I'm saying we're going to do this or this, that, and the other, or this is what's expected, or this is, whatever, and then you can't give that back to me, that's because you don't fully understand what I have said. I have not effectively communicated. And sometimes we think that telling is teaching. Well, I told you. Well, okay, you told me, but I didn't understand. So you have to tell me a different way, or you have to present what you're saying in a manner in which I'm going to understand it, and I'm going to understand it to the place or to the point where it causes me to be, able to carry out what it is that you're looking for. Because in some degree, I'm not going to be able to do what you're looking for. It's just not going to happen, especially if I don't understand it. If I don't understand it, how can I do it? That's like you just giving someone that's not an engineer a project to create or build or design something that they don't have the ability to do, and then you don't really equip them with the necessary tools that they need for it to become successful. That's not healthy. And so we do that a lot in our communication, and then what we think are the legs that we have to stand on is they can't say I ain't tell them. Sure, you told them, but did they understand? Is it something that they even know? Because sometimes, honestly, I know I've been guilty of this. Sometimes I have had expectations of people that was beyond what they were capable of producing. And at the end of the day, I was upset that they could not produce, but it was really my fault. I was expecting something from them that they could not actually give or do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a comment. You want to read that comment?
Okay. So the comment says, marriage and business is a great question. Number one is communication. Number two, finance and businesses take money. Number three, write everything down, sign and agree. Number four, have a voting process. Number five, there must be separation from business and home.
That's good.
Great.
That's good. And sometimes we don't do that. Like, it's funny. I know that, we've talked about it before. I don't know if we talked about it on air, but we've talked about it before, how sometimes even in our businesses that we have, that we will just assume that the other person knows what's going on, or we'll assume that the other person gets what's happening, because in my mind, I had this whole movie that took place. I thought about how this can work and how this can happen, this, that, and the other, and then I give her the short version, leaving out many of the details, leaving out many of the steps, leaving out many of the expenses, leaving out a lot of the key things that make it, but I sell her on it based off of the end goal and how pretty the picture is when it's done, because I went through all of the other steps. And when I went through all of the other steps, I stayed with the process. You know what I'm saying? I went through all of it, but gave her the finished product. And then she like, oh, yeah, until we started to get into it. And it's like, well, wait, I didn't know we needed to do this. And I didn't know that this was going to happen, or it was going to take this much time, or it would take this much money, or we would have to go through all of these loops and all of these channels. And I didn't know that I was going to have to participate and do all of this. Like, so some of these things were not effectively communicated. And part of that is because the easy way out is, in a sense, to paint the picture that's going, I'm selling you this dream instead of bringing you to the table so that we can create this dream together, or so that we can walk out the steps. And in some cases, like, I have a business, she has a business, and we work together in different aspects with them, right? But we don't always, her dream or her vision is not always my dream or my vision. But if it's her business, then I need to learn how to fit into the scheme of things that she has. Sure, I can have my own ideas. I can have my own ways and theories of how this could be done or should be done. But if it's not my show, you can't jump in there like you the main character. You know what I mean? If it's not her show, she can't jump in there like she's the main character. But we have to have enough respect for each other's position and partnership. The fact that you have to walk this out with me. And sometimes we think that, oh, well, they're not a part of it, or they're not doing this, or they're not doing that. I'm the one that got to do the work. I'm the one that got to, do the service. I'm the one that got to, I'm putting up my money. I'm doing blah, 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 all of this. And you think because of the amount or the percentage of what you're doing devalues the opinion or the input that the other person has. And that's not true. Because at the end of the day, the two of you are partners, period. You're partners. Now, the division in which you decide to measure that's how you choose to do it. But guess what? Let something happen to one of you. Guess who's in charge? Because you're partners. And so you may not want to see it that way, but that's what it is. And if you don't want any issues, then your plan has to be at a point and at a place where it's inclusive and it's not, excluding. So we can't exclude when we're dealing with our plans. We can't exclude because that's going to mess things up. And so many people have some awesome ideas and some awesome plans. But if I were to talk to your spouse, what could they say about the plan? Like if someone were to ask me a question about my business, I should be able to send them to my wife and she can just jump in and finish the conversation without she and I having had a conversation. Because she's aware of what's going on. Same thing, vice versa. She could send someone to me and I'd be able to finish the conversation without she and I having a conversation because we're already on the same page. Sometimes we don't have that ability. In that business, every business is not necessarily a business that you're doing outside of your 9 to 5. Your children are your business. You know what I'm saying? Like the way that you run your home, your bills, that's a business because there's a business side to your relationship. Because guess what? Let your business not be right in your relationship and it will have some sort of effect on the emotional and even in some cases the physical side of your relationship. So, the way that you all pay your bills, the way that you manage your money, all of that is a part of the business. You're building up. When you come together as two individuals, you're coming together to build and to join together. So when you join together, that person is taking your name and you all are becoming one. So everything that's happening is happening together. When you start having children, that's a business because you all have to agree on what's going to happen with the care in the way that this child is going to go. You got to agree on where the child is going to daycare. You're going to have to agree on the price of what daycare is. You're going to have to agree on what school they're going to and what extracurricular activities they're going to have. You're going to have to agree on what college they're going to. Like these things, it's a business. And so if you learn how to manage the business side of your relationship, you will take a lot of strain off of your emotional side.
So I want to talk about this number 3. Write everything down, sign and agree. That right there is great. And Rick, if you're still on, I'm getting this wrong, but I'm assuming you're saying you and your spouse sit down, you write everything down and you sign it because you're agreeing to this like a contract. And that's great because y'all know Marcus gets amnesia. And so
Selectively.
I'm going to start making him sign, not just we write it down. If you sign it, but I really do think that's a great idea.
That is.
Like you sign this, you know what's about to happen. You said you agreed to this, you understood, and you go back and read it. Well, like we have our goals. We go back, read them. To see that, it's okay. Yes. So to see that it's been accomplished. We're working on it or something, we're not as good with it as we used to be, but we're going to get back on that. So, but we had our goals. We will go back and see. And I remember one time we were like, man, we accomplished all of this. Didn't even realize it. Now I guess that's when we should have took those little moments to, celebrate little accomplishments because you're so busy looking for the big things.
Right.
And that was really good. So, and guys, this is the commercial break. Rick, Richard McLaren, is Wednesday mornings. He comes on and he does Strength, Courage, and Wisdom, and on Facebook, and it is so enlightening and great, and he is someone good to talk to about business. So if you're on here and you're wanting to talk to someone, he is someone good that you can talk to. So reach out to him. I'm sure he won't mind, even though I didn't tell him before I was going to say that. So but yeah, so number 3, that's great. And number 5, there must be separation from business and home. And I've had people that don't have that separation. If they work together, sometimes it just spills into the house, and then it becomes chaos because, you know, you are in charge in your business or whatever, then you come home. I think you need to know what role you're playing where. Right. And you need to remember that.
Right.
So at home, you need to remember what you're doing there, if you're the husband or wife, and in your business or wherever y'all go, even if your business is in your home, in your basement or wherever, you need to know what role you're playing there and not cross them. You know, so I agree with that there has to be separation. Now, I have a question. Should there be separation in finances when you're just starting a business? Is that possible for you to separate? And anyone can answer this. You can call in and answer 1-855-493-6499. You can type on social media. Is that possible for you to separate, or do you feel like you absolutely should separate what you're going to use for your business? Or if you just write it down, would that be okay because you just put it in the budget? Or should you have a whole separate bank account?
So
I know I went off a little bit.
No, you
I had that question.
I mean, but that's a part
because
of
I'm
that's
sure
a part of business and marriage.
Has that problem?
Yeah, that's a part of business and marriage. My opinion, I think that it should be. I think that it should be separate, and the reason that I think that it should be separate is because when you establish it, it should be established as fully with a business plan, and in that business plan, you need to have what your projected cost is so that you know what it is, and that's a part of writing a vision and making it plain. So when you have that projected cost of what it's going to take and all of that amount of money, if it's going to be used, should be set aside. That way you can keep track of what's happening, because sometimes if it's not separated, then it can start to bleed. And so, you know, with it not being separated, then now
I know about the bleeding side.
If it's not separated, then now, you know, okay, you say, okay, this is going to take $3,000 to do, and you guys agree on it. Okay, $3,000 is what it's going to take, but it ends up taking $4,700. But if you don't come back to the table and talk about that additional $1,700, that $1,700 is taking away from something that is already, you know what I'm saying, existing or should be whatever, you know, is planned, allotted for. So if it's separate and it turns out to be 47, but you only had 3,000, then you already know that you're getting to the place of depletion of that 3,000 and you're still not done. And then that ensures that you're going to have a conversation, because you need some more money. So, but that's all a part of that plan. And if that plan is not in place, then, you know, if it's just all in one, you know, if it's just all in one spot, to me, that's kind of like having a bunch of bachelors living in one place, and it's just, you know, it's just chaos because there's no distinction between who's who, what's what, and everybody's just going in and getting it, and then everybody's going to be like, man, it's no more canned sodas, and you're like, oh well, I thought you were getting them. I thought you, because there's so many people and it's all in one space or whatever without having delegated responsibility. So that's what I think about it. What y'all think?
They don't want to talk. So,
but that's a great question, because that is definitely something. That's definitely something that I've seen and heard on many occasions that has brought some division in relationship, because, you know, and it's brought resentment to the business and even resentment to the person, because then it causes the spouse that's not 100% involved or 100% invested in this concept or this business. And when I say invested, not like you don't have their blessing, but it was your idea. I'm just supporting you to do it. But now it's hurting us. Now it's taking food out of our mouths. Now it's, making us rob Peter to pay Paul. Now our BGE is about to get cut off because you're trying to make this business successful. And then if you don't have things right, then now you're talking about, well, no, I'm saying like I got to get this on the move, because once this is operating, then it's going to bring the funds and I'm going to be able to put it back. But if you can't put it back before we put out, then what? All right, so we got another comment.
I feel like that was personal. Okay, so another comment. It says it should be separate and budgeted out, agreed upon, and set aside if it can be.
Great.
That's good. So, I had another question. I didn't write it down.
Well, while you're thinking of that, I have a question that's similar to that, or something that is not always discussed. I think is time. Sometimes in these concepts of building business, time is not always in the equation as far as how much time is it going to take. Because we just think, oh, I'm going to do it, not really setting any parameters on time, especially if you're doing it like you're working a 9 to 5 and then you're going to work on your business after that. How much time are you allotting to that? Because you work 9 to 5, by the time you get done everything, you get home at 6, and if you say, okay, now I got to work on the business, and you're working on the business till 10, 11, 12 o'clock, where's the time for your mate? Where's the time for the children? Where's the time for the house and the needs of the family and all of that? And if that is not effectively communicated, then it will appear to that mate, it will appear to those children, it will appear to that house that you've abandoned them for that business. And there have been many cases that I've seen and heard where people's business has become their mistress or their mister, because they're so focused on building that and creating that, which does not necessarily mean it's a bad thing. But if it's not properly communicated, and if there aren't any boundaries or anything set in that, then you can go too far and end up doing damage to what's supposed to be a part of this equation in this process. So what type of situation or boundaries should one set, or how should they communicate that dealing with time?
Well, I think that's going to be, all of this is going to be specific to every person's own relationship.
Right.
But I think the time management I know that time management is very important. So you need to know, and probably from people who are already successful in the business, how much time it takes to create your specific type of business.
Right.
How many classes, let's just take me for massage therapy. What will I have to do, to create a lucrative, successful business? How much time will I have to spend on the background, not just in the business, like school, like extra classes,
right.
Learning products, learning different modalities. Like, how much time will that be to be successful? Or, how does one split up the time or manage the time properly? And I know a lot of time we mismanage a lot of our time with social media.
Right.
Because if you're not on social media looking at something for your business or whatever, like, you could get up early and then go on social media, and you on there for 30 minutes. That's 30 minutes you wasted that you want to now later take away from your family because you were scrolling. So we have to be very cautious or cognizant of our time when we are building a business, or when we are trying to continue to have a successful business. Now, even in our marriage, we should be able to communicate this. So even when you're communicating with the plan, that's what I was going to say, I think. Then you find out what the work is involved. You may decide, we can't do this right now, or this is how we have to do this, in steps or whatever.
Right.
But then you will know also what the timing is, with the time management, how much. And if you don't know, You know, if you just have ideas and you're not sure, if you get to a place in your business and you're not sure how to take it to the next level, there are plenty of people that you can speak to. You may have to spend money to do that, but there are people that you should and can speak to that are in your business or help with businesses to get you to the next level, instead of making many mistakes and messing up your business and your marriage,
Right.
or in your relationship.
Right.
So I think that you need counsel,
Mm-hmm.
and I think you need, of course, communication, but you need to map it out. Like, you need a calendar. You need to map out how long it takes you, because for me, it could take me, if I have to do a class on the internet that's like self-study or something, it might not take me as long as it takes Marcus. So, you know, you have to know, okay, wait a minute, if I have to read this or I have to do this, this is going to take me 2 nights.
Right.
As opposed to me being 3 hours, you know. So you have to be realistic with the things that you need and how much time it takes you as an individual. Even if the person that's successful in business told you, well, yeah, I did this in this time. Long as you know what it is, you can know how much time you need and figure it out. But you have to communicate it, and you need to write it down. It should be on a spreadsheet, or it should be in a calendar somewhere where you know. And once you complete it, you should be able to check it off and now move on to the next thing, or that time is freed up now because you don't have to do certain things. But there's always going to be a set amount of time that you spend in your business, and that should be talked about when you first, you know, when you first start to do your plan and your work.
That's great, and I think that's important too. Because if you don't know, and again, let's keep in mind that we are, you know, referencing business, but they're parallel. Your marriage is the same way. And so in some instances, we don't even establish the right amount of time to invest in our relationships. So, you know, we'll be so busy with work, or we'll be so busy with trying to build a business, that we forget that we need to invest a certain amount of time in our relationship for it to be successful. So, you know, there are some instances where, you know, I know people will work their 9 to 5, and then they say, you know, well, I got a side hustle here, and I got a side hustle here, and a side hustle here. And the reason that they have those side hustles is because of a financial need. And in order to meet that financial need, these are the things that I have to do, you know, to make it work. Now, the question is, how important is that need, and has that been a conversation? Because some of the side jobs that you're doing, or some of the side hustles that you have, the amount of time consistently that it takes you away from the family will make you evaluate if the thing that you're doing it for is worth what we're losing in order to have it. So, you know, for example, some people will do it for the sake of a car. You know, oh, well, I want this type of car. And you get this type of car with a $800 a month car note because you want that type of car. But that $800 car note on top of what you already have going on causes you to have a second job that's making you work 4 nights out the week. And then you already have some other obligations that you do. If you have children that have extracurricular activities, or if you're involved in ministry, or you're involved in other things that also encompass your time, then now you don't have much time left. So as a family, we're riding in this nice car, but we never see mommy, or we never see daddy because of what it takes to live that way. At some point, you may end up going to the table and saying, okay, is this car worth not having the person that's doing everything for us to have it? Because we can downgrade and still have a nice car that's only $300 a month, that doesn't require the extra work, that doesn't require the extra hours, that doesn't require, you know. And so now again, we're to the point, or we're to the place where when we get you, we don't get a quality you. We get a tired, ran down you. We get, you know, and then you want us to understand that you're tired because of all of the work that you've been doing. And when you do get a minute, you just want to relax. You just want to fall asleep. You just want to kick your feet up. And it's like everybody else in the world is like, now we got you. Yay, let's do this. Let's do that. And you like, man, I ain't doing none of that. y'all can kick rocks, because I'm tired from everything that I've done. I've been in those shoes before, you know what I mean? And it was like, when that happened, it was very difficult to deal with, but I got gut punched, you know, and I got gut punched by God. And it was just like, I was doing all of this stuff saying like, you know, I'm doing all this ministry and this, that, and the other, because at that time we had 5 services a Sunday and I was between 3 churches. So I was, you know, back and forth and doing all this. And by the time I got home at the conclusion of 5 services, it's now 7, 8 o'clock. And I started this at 7:30. So it's like, man, I'm tired. I'm falling asleep. I'm doing all that. And when I get home, I'm just expecting my wife, I'm expecting my children to just know and understand that I'm tired, because I've been drained and pouring out in ministry and doing all of this. And they're just supposed to get that, you know, I'm tired. But God had to like kind of smack me like, you could be tired all you want, but she still need a husband and they still need a father. The fact that you are doing all of this does not negate your responsibilities and your obligations to them. You don't get a pass to stop being a husband. You don't get a pass to stop being a father because you were doing these things, you know, whether they were for me or for you or whatever the case, but you don't get a pass. And so I had to readjust to that, because it was like, wow, I was doing a disservice. I wasn't being an active father on that day, or even during the course of the week, because I had several rehearsals to prepare for that and all of these other things that was going on. And so without me paying attention to it, I was making them suffer because of what I was doing, just expecting them to fully understand. And that's not healthy. And you have to grow and mature and be open enough to see that when you're making these decisions, it affects more than just you. So sure, I was tired, but they were hurting. And that's not good. We have another question.
Question is, how do you find time to be balanced with all the jobs, church, and side jobs?
That's of course a individual scenario, but at the end of the day, you have to prioritize. Prioritizing is the key to it. And of course, you know, the first priority that we have is, you know, and we've been messing this up, you know, with God, family, and church, because most people are doing God, church, and family. Mm-hmm. And it's God, family, and church. And so, because your family is your first ministry, but you only have ministry because of your relationship with God. So, you know, that's what this God, family, church, and then work is in that equation. So, but if everything that you're doing, I think that the communication with the spouse is what's important to find out, are you okay with this? You know what I mean? Like, are you okay with it? Because especially as men, when you get in the grind mode about providing for our family, you know, initially, I know for me, providing was only monetarily. That was what I was thinking in the beginning of my marriage, that I had the responsibility to provide for my family and that I had to make sure that I provided money. But I also needed to provide comfort. I also needed to provide emotionally. I also needed to provide mentally. And that provision was bigger than just $1. But my initial focus was only on the dollar. And because of that, I was expecting them to understand my hustle, to understand my grind. But it was not until I had some conversations to where we came to the understanding that I would rather do without and have you than to not have you and have a bunch of things that I don't get to celebrate those things with you with. So it's an individual thing, but prioritizing is the number one factor that has to happen with it.
Yes, and I think somebody asked a similar question last week about this, but I think that you need to, or whoever this question is for, the side jobs, are all of them necessary? Church, is everything you're doing there effective and necessary? Not saying not to do it, but the timing that you're spending doing it. Sometimes we go to a 2-hour event and come back 5 hours later.
Right.
You know, because, you know, brother so-and-so needs you to do this, sister so-and-so needs you to do that, but your family needs you to do something too. So that's when, like Marcus said, you need to talk to your spouse and you need to prioritize it. But also when you're busy, because I can get real busy doing a lot of jobs, and what is it really doing? You need to figure out, what is this for? Why am I doing it? Am I doing it because I like it? Am I doing it because I need finances? And then if it is finances, but it's taken away from being balanced at home or being balanced, period, then where can I cut down something? Meaning in my home life, how I'm living, where can I cut out something? Can I get a cell phone bill that's lesser? Can I get, a internet cable bill that's less? Where can I cut down something so I don't need 3 side hustles or 3 side jobs?
Right.
But and I hope we've answered your question or helped you or helped whoever needed you to answer that question. But I think a lot of times we just need to step back and take a moment of how did I even get here? How did I get started working here and doing that and doing that and doing that? Because sometimes a one-time yes turns into you done did it for months and months and months and months. And you're like, how did I become the closer, at the job or at the church or wherever? I can't do it. I got a family. I need to do what is important to family and always first pleasing to God. And a lot of times we think, well, if we don't do this or if we don't do that, it's not going to be pleasing to God. But really, are we trying to please the people we're doing it for or God? Is God really saying, yes, you need to do that, or I need you to do that? So.
And let me jump in there on this too.
No jumping.
That I think that sometimes what we do is we make our family respect everything,
yes,
and we never make anything respect our family.
Yes.
So, we will make our family respect our job, that our job has us doing mandatory overtime, or that our job wants us to do this and we got to do that the church wants us to do this or to do that, that this side hustle want me to do this, or my obligation to this committee or to this group, or, I'm a part of this or that, and so all of these things can do that. But if we don't make those things respect our family, because sometimes they don't respect it only because you've never spoken up about it.
Exactly.
And it's not that they're disrespecting it. It's just that they're not aware that you actually aren't available to do it.
Absolutely. Because sometimes if you're always there, Marcus is the kind of like always there, appears that he can do it. And if you're always there at the job and they think, well, Marcus will do it, he can do it. If he never speaks up and says, no, really, my son has a basketball game, I really need to get to my son's game on Thursdays, or I really need to get to my son's game on Saturday mornings, then no one will ever know. You'll just be there doing it, and then nobody is respecting their time because you're not putting it as a priority to not just you, but to the people that you're trying to serve, which in turn is hurting you or your world. So I've shared this before. We were like everywhere, always at a whole bunch, every service that was there at our church, other services we wanted to go to, whatever, we were there, kids were there. But I had to step back for a moment and realize that the kids were sleepy. The kids were tired. If they go on a Wednesday nights, they tired. They got to go to church. They have to go to school on Thursday, and I need them to be successful in school. So maybe we can only go to 2 Wednesday nights a month, or maybe we can only go. But whatever we decided, we communicated it. Mm-hmm. So nobody's looking for you like, or it's just like, I'm not sure if I'm going to make it this week. Got rehearsal, or have, child got to dance, or something has to happen. It's communicated, and people start to understand, and they start to respect. Okay. This is what they're doing, or this is what happens. Even my supervisor, there are things that she respects because I bring them in front of her. Like, this is what I need to do today. So, or this is what I need to do on this day. So she respects it because she also has a family, and she doesn't want her job to consume her from being with her family as well. So she respects it. She's like, okay, well, get to that when you can, or okay, do this and then you can do that. So, you just have to bring it out to make people respect it and to know what your first priority is.
Definitely. So we hope that answered your question. And so we don't have much time left in today's show, but my wife is going to talk a little bit about this weekend and what's happening this weekend. So for those of you who want to be a part, you still have an opportunity to do so.
So I want to first thank you all for listening, Mixstation Live Radio. Thank you for listening on social media. We are, as you know, having a conference this weekend, January 24th, 25th. Friday starts at 7 p.m. It's $100 per couple. There's still room. You can come if you register. So please go to teambevins.com, or you can go to www.mkt.com/W-Marcus-Bevins, and you can register that way. If you're on social media, he'll post it on social media for you. If you need to call in really quickly because you need to get the information, it's 1-855-493-6499. But we're going to have a great time. Our theme this year is Firm Foundation. Firm Foundation, and we I have so much stuff in my head, guys. So it's Firm Foundation, and we're gonna have a great time. You know, we play games, we give, you know, we get the spiritual, we get the natural, we laugh, we cry. It's not for people that are just having problems or issues. You know, it's for anybody. It's for if you've been married for 2 months, or if you've been engaged for a day, come. If you've been engaged for 4, if you get engaged on Thursday. For anybody that's single out there listening, if you get engaged on Thursday, call us. We want you there on Friday. Okay?
Right.
You know, there will be a special price for you. I promise you. Okay? I'm happy for all of the people that have that are engaged, because you are my favorite people, engaged people. So I really need you, you know. But for all of you who have already registered, thank you. We will see you on Friday. We will be sure that you will take something away from this weekend that you can use in your relationship. We do not just talk to those that are going through or just trying to stop divorce. No, it's not about that. It's just about life things that help you get through day to day. And if you're already having a successful relationship, we want you to continue having one, but come out and have some fun with us. If just for nothing else, then you don't go on dates on your own. Come spend Friday and Saturday with us. Right. This year, no, we did not put the cost of the hotel in the registration price, but you can call the hotel and you can get a room for Friday to Saturday, or Saturday Sunday, or both if you want. Doesn't matter. And this year we are not having a event on Saturday night, but we do want to see you Friday 7 until and Saturday 9 to 5. So please register. And it is $100 per couple again, and you can contact us. You don't have to just go through there. If you have our personal numbers, or you can get to us through Facebook, or however you have the email, then you can contact us that way. And the email is
I still do 13 at gmail.com.
I still do 13 at gmail.com. So come out and enjoy this weekend with us, so that you won't have to hear about it, and you can be there and testify about it. All right.
So we thank you all for joining us tonight, and make sure that you share this with those who could benefit from the conversation. And we're just looking forward to having the opportunity to continue to fellowship with you guys and to share with you all. So until we meet you again in the Couples Corner next week, we hopefully will see you all this weekend at the conference, and we are excited about it and hope that you are as well. And we are going to have a blast. So if you've never experienced the conference with us, the fellowship is amazing. The way that we enjoy and laugh and joke is, unbelievable as well. We just want you all to be there to experience it for yourself. So don't hear about it. Make sure you're there. And we are looking forward to seeing you guys. All right. Y'all have a great rest of the week, and we will talk to you all the next time. Peace.
Peace.
This is the Couples Corner. The Couples Corner. This is the Couples Corner. For Team
Thank you for tuning in to the Couples Corner with Team Bevins. We're grateful that you stopped by and shared your time with us tonight. We look forward to seeing you again here next week at 9 p.m. And feel free to share this on your page with any of your people who would benefit from this conversation. We're grateful that you shared your time with us. And now we've got to go, but we look forward to connecting with you again here on the Couples Corner with Team Bevins.